We are preparing ourselves to celebrate Sri Krishna Janmastami. And Sarthak Soni Prabhu, please switch off your mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And this celebration is very important, and we are expecting huge crowd of people here in east of Kailash temple. It is quite austere to deal with such amount of people, but what to do? We have to distribute Krishna's mercy, right? Dasa Raghunatha Prabhu, right? We have to distribute Krishna's mercy. It is ISKCON mission. We have to distribute it. So we will act according to our duty, which is given to us by His divine grace, AC, right? AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we are celebrating Janmashtami. Happy Krishna Janmashtami. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So he appears on this planet, and the same way we want Supreme Lord Shri Krishna to appear in our hearts, right? Right? We want him to appear in our hearts. And what we can do for that? For that we can chant holy names of Krishna. And we can try to satisfy Supreme Lord by following instructions that are given by spiritual master. But there are some obstacles, dear friends, dear devotees, there are some obstacles. And these obstacles are called anarthas or undesirable qualities. And these undesirable qualities are symbolized by all these demons that were killed by Supreme Lord Shri Krishna in Vrindavana 5,000 years ago. And he started to do it even when he was very, very small, when he was newborn child. He started to kill all these demons. The same way, we can ask Supreme Lord Shri Krishna to help us to become free from these impediments, obstacles that we have in our hearts. Because we have to admit that we are not ideal people, right? Dasa Raghunatha Prabhu. We have to admit it. So this process goes simultaneously. Process of Bhajana Kriya and process of Anartha Nivriti. Bhajana Kriya means we take initiation from spiritual master. And when we do this, now we are guided. We are guided in our spiritual life by instructions of spiritual master, by his supervising. He supervises us, or his representatives, senior devotees, local senior devotees. They supervise us and they correct us and direct us and so on. And simultaneously, the process of Anartha Nivriti also starts, also goes on, but it goes on only in case if we want this process to happen. Because what does it mean? It means that there is this process of Sharanagati which contains 6 aspects. And the first 2 aspects are Anukulyasya Sankalpah, Pratikulyasya Varjana. Anukulyasya Sankalpah, Pratikulyasya Varjanam. And it means that one should accept what is favorable for devotional service, for spiritual life. And Pratikulyasya Varjanam means one should reject what is unfavorable for devotional service. So Anartha Nivriti basically starts when one has such mood that let me reject what is unfavorable. Let me reject it. Because it is not that each and every practitioner has this determination. We can easily take whatever is beneficial for spiritual life. First of all, we can take prasadam. Welcome on Shri Krishna Janmashtami. Tomorrow at midnight we are going to have feast. We're going to have feast. And so it is quite easy. It is quite easy to accept what is favorable for spiritual advancement, what is tasteful. What is tasteful. It can be nice, sweet kirtan, or it can be prasadam, delicious prasadam. But it is not always easy to reject what is unfavorable. It is not so easy to get rid from bad habits, from some undesirable qualities that are symbolized by these demons in Vrindavana. Because the situation is such that only this lifetime we remember. We don't remember other lives that we had in previously. Before we took this birth, we had many lifetimes, but we don't remember. So we remember only this particular conditioning in which we are now. And because of that, when it comes to the question that you should get rid from such and such an undesirable quality, immediately this obstacle, this idea in mind activates that how I can get rid from this quality, it is my quality, it's me. I always was like this. I always was like this, but it is not so, because there are 8,400,000 species of life, right? That's Raghunatha Prabhu. 8,400,000 species of life. So we were conditioned in very different ways. We just don't remember this. So all these conditionings are quite. It is not something which exists eternally. It is not something which exists eternally, which remains more or less eternally uh, during our life in material world from time immemorial. What always remains is this desire to be happy separately from Krishna. This part always remains. But different aspects of our conditionings are always changing. Always changing. So why? So we can change ourselves also consciously. Consciously. Just one moment. Hare Krishna. So these demons in Vrindavana, these anarthas that practitioners can have and usually have in their hearts, these anarthas are symbolized by demons in Vrindavana. So let's see what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes regarding this subject matter. So we have two books, two, two books written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The first one is Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita. The second one is Krishna Samhita, Sri Krishna Samhita. So in these two books, this subject matter is mentioned, that there are anarthas, and we have to get rid from this, and demons are symbolizing these anarthas. So here we have this list of different demons. It is written that, like for example, Putana, symbolizing the false guru, the false guru. It means what? It means that if someone is inclined to accept spiritual life cheaply, then there is a great chance that he will meet bogus guru, so-called guru on his path. He will be cheated. Why he will be cheated? Because he wants to be cheated. Because because person who wants to take spiritual life cheaply, without any endeavors and so on, it means this person wants to be cheated. So they meet each other. This person who wants to be cheated, and this person who claims that he is guru, that he will make someone closer to Supreme Lord, but in fact, these people don't belong to any bona fide Sri Guru Parampara, and they cannot help anyone. They cannot help even themselves. They cannot help even themselves. So the same way like Putana was trying to poison Krishna, the same way these bogus or false gurus, they are trying to poison spiritual life of people. They are trying to poison it. So it is one of anarthas, it is one of the tendencies in the heart or in the mind that let me take spiritual life cheaply. It doesn't require any endeavors. It can be done very easily. Just I have to find some kind of magician. Some kind of magician means that these people, they consider that that spiritual master, it is something like magician. Means I don't have to do anything, but this particular person, because he is so powerful, he will help me. He will deliver me to spiritual world, back to spiritual world. And it doesn't matter am I practicing or not. Am I practicing or not? Anyway, just by power of this guru, I will be delivered. But it is not so. This process doesn't work like this. But of course, some cheaters, they can say that, of course, okay, you accept me as your spiritual master, and you don't have to do anything, but just by my power, you will achieve this highest goal. So it is Putana. It is Putana the demon who symbolizes this tendency to take spiritual life cheaply. There is a list. It is on the screen. But what I want to show you, it is this quote on the screen, where Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes that the devotee who worships the holy name should first petition the Lord for the strength to cast out all these unfavorable tendencies, and should pray thus before Lord Hari on a daily basis. By doing this regularly, the devotee's heart will eventually become purified. Sri Krishna has killed a number of demons which may arise in the kingdom of the heart. So in order to destroy these problems, a devotee must cry very humbly before the Lord and admit defeat. Admit defeat means he has to admit that he is defeated by these bad tendencies, by these anarthas. He has to admit that he is weak and he is nothing without help of Supreme Lord. It means, and admit defeat, and then the Lord will nullify all contaminations. Nullify all contaminations. So what is required? It is required to surrender to Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, that I depend on you. I myself, I cannot purify my heart. And it is actually so. We cannot do it ourselves, but we can ask Supreme Lord to do it. And we should also practice sadhana. We should listen sacred scriptures, practice Krishna Katha. Welcome on Sri Krishna Janmastami in the temple. And Krishna Katha will be there. And by power of Sri Krishna Katha, then what happens? Hridyantach sthohya vadrani vidunoti suhrit satam. Right? Dasa Raghunatha Prabhu. Vidunoti suhrit satam. Everything which is unfavorable in the heart comes away. Comes away. So we have to do our steps toward Krishna. We should read books like Dasa Raghunatha Prabhu. He always reads something. He has a lot of books on his bookshelf. I will show you. Just look. It is his books, and it is himself, Dasa Raghunatha Prabhu. Hare Krishna. And he has bookshelf. He has a lot of books, and all these books are about Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. And he reads every day. Take example from him. Take example from Dasa Raghunatha Prabhu. And from others also. From others who also read Srila Prabhupada's books. We have a lot of people like this. in east of Kailash temple, in Punjabi Bagh temple, in Dwaraka temple, in many temples. So if someone thinks that who will inspire me, there is no question, there is no problem, because it is quite easy to find such people in Delhi who can, by their own example, to inspire you to read Srila Prabhupada's books, right? Many people we can see here who are able to inspire us for this. Because really, because one can know that Krishna Katha is needed, but one can be lacking the inspiration. So we have to know what are the sources of our inspiration. And the sources of our inspiration, usually it is sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha, sarva shastra koi, lavamatra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi koi. It means that by power of saintly association sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy, one's life becomes perfected. One achieves perfection of his life. And what does it mean, perfection of his life? It means that he revives his eternal relationships with Krishna. So what is the special with tomorrow's celebration with Sri Krishna Janmastami? The special is that we can pray to Supreme Lord and we can pray to different saintly devotees every day. We can ask for many things. But when so-called Avirbhava or Tirobhava happens, Avirbhava means day of appearance day, Avirbhava. Or Tirobhava means day of disappearance. In these particular days, when Supreme Lord appears, or when Acharya appears, or when Acharya disappears, we can pray to them and we can ask them for mercy. And in these particular days, our prayers are more accepted. And so we can get more mercy actually. So we can pray to Supreme Lord Shri Krishna tomorrow. The same way, basically, we can pray about the same to Supreme Lord Nrisimhadev. When we celebrate Nrisimha Chaturdashi, we also can pray to Supreme Lord Nrisimhadev that please purify my heart and please make this heart free from what is undesirable. Help me with your sacred and divine nails, divine nails, and using your nails you remove all these things from my heart. So the same way we can ask Supreme Lord Shri Krishna for pure devotional service. We can ask him to for determination to practice not only anukulyasi sankalpah, not only to accept what is favorable for devotional service, but also we can ask Supreme Lord Shri Krishna to make us determined to reject what is unfavorable for devotional service. And to reject what is unfavorable for devotional service, it means, for example, it means to follow 4 regulative principles, because by following 4 regulative principles, we reject these 4 kinds of sinful activities that are like great obstacles on spiritual path. And also there are some more subtle things in the hearts of practitioners that we also can ask Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, please make me free from this. Please make me free from this. Like for example here, there is one demon. Actually, all these demons are described in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto or in Krishna book, and you can easily read all these stories. And there is one demon who is called Keshi, or demon in form of horse. And this demon symbolizes the feeling that I'm a great devotee and spiritual master. The feeling of one's greatness is there. So this feeling is symbolized by the horse demon Keshi. And it is quite important to mention that there is one book which is called Spiritual Connection. Spiritual Connection, you can easily buy this book in East of Kailash bookshop or other bookshops in ISKCON temples. Spiritual Connection, which is written by Bhakti Dhira Damodar Swami. Bhakti Dhira Damodar Swami. So in this book, he describes the relationships between spiritual master and disciple, and in one of the chapters he writes that actually one should not try to become a great devotee of the Lord. One should try to become good devotee of the Lord. Again, there is subtle difference, because if I try to be great devotee, if I try to become great devotee, sometimes devotees, they have this mentality that I have to become great. If one is trying to become great devotee, then there always will be this mood of competition. He always will be trying to compete with other devotees who is greater than me, and who is higher, who is more powerful, who is better. So much more better to try to be a good devotee of the Lord. Because if I'm trying to be good devotee of the Lord, it means that I'm not trying to put someone down. I'm not trying to compete with anyone. I'm just trying to understand from instructions of my seniors what does it mean to be good devotee. Because it is only senior devotees, spiritual master and senior devotees. They can tell me, am I good or not? Because someone should tell me, am I good or not? I cannot tell myself, am I good or not? Someone should tell me about this. So it is
Yes,
much
Prabhu.
more. Oh,
Yes,
some.
Prabhuji, you are right.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your appreciation. Yeah, we have to be under guidance. Yeah, and we have to try to be good devotee. If devotees are satisfied with us, if spiritual master is satisfied with us, then it is okay. If they say that we are good, it is okay. We don't have to compete with others. Otherwise, it is quite difficult to have nice relationships with devotees if we try to compete. Quite difficult to do it. So also we have, of course, we are not going to discuss the whole list. We have no time to discuss the whole list. Well, what we can discuss? Where is Kamsa in this list? Kamsa, 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 Kamsa. Where is Kamsa? That is strange. Kamsa is not here in this list. That is strange. Anyway, so okay, let me choose what we are going to discuss. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay, no, well, we can discuss, for example, this one, Why not? We can discuss Trinavarta the demon, who is the whirlwind demon. So he symbolizes false pride, which comes from material scholarship, which leads to bogus philosophies. So we know this story when Trinavarta the demon was trying to to catch Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, and he was flying in the sky with little baby Krishna for some time, for a short period of time. But suddenly, surprisingly to this demon, this Krishna was became very very heavy, and he was becoming even more heavier each and every moment. So Trinavarta could not fly anymore, and he fall down. He fall down. So what does it mean? It means when we are speaking about spiritual master, when we are speaking about guru, if we will translate this term this word guru from Sanskrit to English. Guru means one who is heavy. Heavy means that he has spiritual knowledge, and this spiritual knowledge is heavy. It is heavy in the sense that it is not so easy sometimes to accept spiritual instructions. And also, it is heavy in that sense that one who has this spiritual knowledge, he is grounded in this life, spiritually grounded, and he can manifest this very important quality of a person, which is called personal integrity, right? That's Raghunatha Prabhu. Personal integrity. Because of what? Because the spiritual knowledge helps us to revive our original nature that we are parts and parcels of Krishna. So Trinavarta the demon, he was flying in the sky, and the same way different people who are creating different speculative philosophies, they also are flying somewhere, but well, they fly somewhere, but they are not grounded. Means their philosophy is not proved, is not tested by life. Is not tested by life. Means they are flying somewhere, but when it comes to practical application of this philosophy, then it doesn't work. So Bhagavad Gita, as it is very important book in our life because it gives real picture of what is this life, what we can expect from this life, what we should do, what is our goal, what is the process. By following this process, we can achieve our goal, and so on and so on. So it is much more better not to fly in the sky, not to fly in our dreams, but to be realistic, to be grounded. And sometimes people, they say your knowledge which you give in Bhagavad Gita and other books is quite pessimistic. Is quite pessimistic. Pessimistic in the sense that Aprama bhuvana lokah punara vartino arjuna, miseries are everywhere, dukhalayama shashvatam, everyone is suffering, a lot of problems, material world, and so on and so on. You are pessimistic. No, we're not pessimistic, we're just realistic. And even if this knowledge sometimes it is not so pleasant to hear, it is not so pleasant to hear because this knowledge describes that actually material world is a miserable place, and this knowledge also describes that we have shortcomings. We're not ideal people. We're not ideal people. We have shortcomings. But anyway, it is realistic picture. And when realistic picture becomes foundation of our life, only then we can live our life nicely. Nicely, I mean that we can change something in our life. We can make it better. If someone just is dreaming that and have different materialistic expectations about this world, expectations and dreams that will never come true, then, well, one can dream the whole life, one can dream for many lifetimes. But Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, no, not Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, he says, Jiv Jago, Jiv Jago, Jiv Jago, Gaura Chandra Boli, Jiv Jago, wake up, and chant holy name. He wants to awake us. Supreme Lord wants to awake us. He comes every yuga, Satya Yuga, Dvapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, Kali Yuga, and in each and every yuga he gives this process, religious process that is meant to revive these eternal relationships with him. So if we follow this particular process which is given to particular yuga in which we live, then it works. And he wants to wake us up because this illusory energy gives us variety, varieties of enjoyment, different sense objects, and so on and so on. But in such a way, one can remain in samsara for quite long time. And Supreme Lord, He doesn't want us to suffer. He doesn't want us to stay in samsara. He wants us to go back to spiritual world. So we can pray to Him tomorrow on Janmashtami. We can pray Supreme Lord Shri Krishna that please help me. Please award me pure devotional service. Please purify my heart. Please help me become more Krishna conscious. It is what we should pray for. Hare Krishna, do you have some questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I'll ask the devotees that if you are having any kind of questions regarding today's session delivered by His Grace Madhava Murari Prabhuji, or feel free to ask. Any kind of question that you wish to ask? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So we have two people who wants to ask
Prabhuji,
the
I
questions.
can see two people who have
Yeah,
raised their
so
hands along me.
let them ask the questions. Of course, just manage. You are organizer.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Please.
Kushi, you can unmute and ask.
Oh, I cannot hear what she is saying.
Your voice is not audible properly.
Something with mic. Mataji, maybe you can just write your question in the chat if it is not difficult for you. Okay, Satyavanti, please ask your
Prabhuji, you
question.
can.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
My question was that what can be the best way of celebrating Janmashtami?
The best way of celebrating Janmashtami? To do some practical devotional service during Janmashtami. To be appointed to do some practical devotional service. It is much more better than to be just a guest. And of course, it is nice to stay awake till midnight and fast and take prasadam at midnight also, and to be absorbed in Krishna Katha, in Kirtan. It is the process which we follow in all our celebrations. We just try to be more absorbed in Krishna Katha, in holy names. Basically, in that sense, there is no difference between Shri Krishna Janmashtami and, for example, Nrisimha Chaturdashi or Nityananda Trayudashi or Gaura Purnima. The same principle, but of course we meditate on particular lilas, on Nrisimha Lila or Nityananda Lila or Gauranga Lila. It depends on which day we celebrate. So we can meditate on this, we can discuss it during temple program. And again, it is nice when one is practically engaged, when one is not just a guest on the program. In that sense, in this case, one can get more mercy. Yeah. Okay, we have some.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Prabhuji,
Yes. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
there's a question in the chat box, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Prabhuji, there's a question in the chat box.
Okay,
I'll
let's.
translate the question. It's given in Hindi.
Uh-huh.
So, the Prabhuji is asking that how should we observe Sri Krishna Janmashtami if we are celebrating it at home?
If you are celebrating what? Haribol. If you are celebrating what?
If you are observing the Sri Krishna Janmashtami.
But I just.
Prabhuji, if you are celebrating Janmashtami at home, so how should we celebrate?
At home. At home. Well, at home it is nice. It is nice to have altar at home, and well, then one should cook something nice for Krishna, and also one should fast. One should chant rounds. One should read books and offer some food stuff to Supreme Lord and take it. But again, it is much more better to celebrate Janmashtami with devotees, in group of devotees. It also can be done at home, but it is much more better if devotee is not alone when he celebrates Janmastami, but when there is a group. You don't need a whole crowd to celebrate, just a few people is sufficient, for example. Yeah.
Prabhuji, also there's one question
Uh-huh.
where Prabhuji is saying that why devatas have to die if they have Amrit, if they have nectar.
Why devotees have to die if they have Amrit? Amrit, Tapa is asking. Amrit is asking about Amrit. What does it mean that they have Amrit? Can you explain, Sarthak Soni Prabhuji? What does it mean they
Yeah,
have?
Prabhuji, basically,
Yeah.
Prabhuji is trying to say that why do devatas have to die if they are having nectar? Means that holy nectar that was turned out of that, the ocean milk.
Well,
So why do I have to, basically, they have to die?
everyone is dying in this material world. Everyone, even Lord Brahma. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't understand the essence of the question. But if the question is about devotees, they are staying on higher planets in material world. So everyone, including Lord Brahma, everyone is sentenced to death. You know,
Prabhuji,
it
as
is
per the
natural.
question,
Uh
I'm
huh.
getting the inference. Basically, Prabhuji is thinking the reason that we devatas and the demons. So devatas are having the so much juice and all that amrit. So he's thinking
Uh
that
huh.
because they're having the so much juice with them, so why do they have to face death? So as you correctly said, I would like to repeat it again. Everybody who is in 84 lakh species
Uh huh.
in this material universe, they have to eventually give up their materially bodies as far as their as per their karmas they have a limited tenure to to face a particular body. So be it devatas, be it demons, everybody has to give up their bodies.
Uh huh.
So
Uh
that
huh.
was the answer to their question.
Okay,
So I just tried to get.
just one moment. Let me close the door. Sorry, let me close the door.
Yeah,
One
please.
moment.
So devotees, you can ask any other questions if you're not able to unmute yourself. So you can put it in the chat box.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah, Prabhuji, shall I ask you the other question?
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
Close
Prabhuji,
the door.
there's a devotee who's asking the question, how shall we increase our concentration during chanting?
Okay, but you skipped one the question about material duties. It was before, right? Кушай
Prabhuji, I
чудо
was
сама.
about to ask.
А?
I'll be asking that question also, but I thought I should ask first
Окей,
this
окей,
question.
окей, окей. Okay, so Bhumi Chuda Sama is asking, how can we increase our
Yeah,
concentration during chanting? It requires practice. Practice. We just have to chant every day. We should put endeavors. We Mainly it depends on our lifestyle. It depends on what kind of life we have when we're not chanting, because we're sadhakas, we're practicing sadhana bhakti, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. So it is supposed that we have to follow some spiritual duties. We should dedicate 2 hours or whatever it takes to chant this 16 rounds minimum every day. But basically, if to speak about other time during the day, well, it is not expected that we will be remembering Krishna all the time. On the level of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, it is not expected. So it depends on what kind of lifestyle one has. Because if someone's lifestyle is Rajasic lifestyle, a lot of passion, a lot of anxieties, a lot of different things, or Tamasic, or whatever. So of course it will influence on our japa, because we depend on environment. We're conditioned souls. So we have to keep our rooms clean. We have to keep our minds clean. We have to take care of our relationships, not only relationships with devotees, but any kind of relationships. and we have to learn how to control mind and senses. And it takes decades, actually. It takes decades to practice this. So, Utsakhanishchaya Daryat. Utsakhanishchaya Daryat, it is from the third verse of Nectar of Instruction. It means that we want to progress, and this desire is nice. But if we want to progress, we have to be determined to progress. We have to be enthusiastic about this idea to progress spiritually. And we have to be patient. We have to understand that it takes time. It will not happen in 2 weeks or in 2 months. So if one is not so much satisfied with his concentration during chanting, it is good because it means that I see some kind of room for improvement in my spiritual life. If I don't see any room for improvement, that is a big problem, because how I will grow spiritually if I think that I achieved perfection in my spiritual life? So it is normal when one thinks that he is not so much concentrated, and just put endeavors. Just you can visit different Nama retreats, Japa workshops, listen to different classes. Especially it is important to associate and to have in your circle of association to have such devotees who are really serious about chanting of holy names, who are really serious, who really have this realization that Supreme Lord Shri Krishna is non different from this holy name. So when we have such devotees, such Namashreshthas, Namashreshthas, when we have such devotees in our communities, it is great contribution to our communities, because it is the essence, it is one of the main processes in ISKCON to chant holy names, and those who help other devotees to be conscious in this process of chanting of holy names, and those who have faith, and those who can help others to develop this faith. So if you know someone who has these qualities, just try to serve them and just try to take their instructions. If you don't know, well, try to find, because really we depend on our association. Well, and of course, regarding our lifestyle, we should not use internet in evening time like we do now, because it is also influence of low modes of material nature, usually. But now it is exception because we are discussing Krishna Katha. Otherwise, if people they use internet too much, or especially if they use this in evening time watching different nonsense, of course then their consciousness becomes contaminated, and when consciousness is contaminated, then person wakes up, it is much more difficult for him to chant holy names of Krishna, much more difficult, because he has to deal with all these impressions in his mind that he has got during evening time. So it is really important how do we go to sleep, what time we wake up. Sattva guna is very important, but again, in order to become fixed in sattva guna, it requires 2 or 3 decades, I would say. 2 or 3 decades. It is quite serious subject matter. Just put endeavors and put endeavors and don't be embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed. Okay, so what we have? What more questions we have?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I'll ask you the question that
Yeah.
she have asked you. She
Okay.
says that how to balance between our material duties and not we are overachieving in material. So how are we to understand that?
For that, I will give you homework to read the third verse of Nectar of Instruction, because there, no, second verse of Nectar of Instruction, because there, the process how one's consciousness becomes degraded It is described there.
Yes.
Sarthak Sony, switch off the mic. It is described there. Атяхара праясасча праджалпони амуграха сангашчанга санга сан джана санга чалаулямча шадбир бхактир винашети. Everything starts from Atyahara. Atyahara means overeating. Atyahara means over accumulating. So from this, all other things are happening. Like prayasa means over endeavoring to achieve all these material goals that are not so much needed. Or prajalpa means all these talks, mundane talks that are also not needed and not so nice for spiritual life. Everything starts from atyahara, over accumulating, over consuming. So the remedy is to follow this slogan, simple living, higher thinking. Simple living, higher thinking. If one makes spiritual life priority number one for himself, and if one is determined to follow this principle, simple living, higher thinking, then before following any material plan, any materialistic plan, this person, first of all, he will ask himself or herself, will it create some problems for my spiritual life or not? Will it hamper my devotional service or not? Will it take time, energy, and so on, and my attention from my practical devotional service or not? And if it will be hampered, then serious devotee, he will reject this materialistic plan because it is much more important for him to be focused on Krishna consciousness, on devotional service. And the more one wants to improve his material conditions of life, the more one wants to overconsume, the more one is not focused in his spiritual life. So basically it depends on how serious we are and how determined we are. And of course we should not neglect material duties. If someone is husband or wife or parent, of course they should take care of children, they should have this grihastha relationships, but I'm not an expert in grihastha relationships, so you should ask another devotee about grihastha relationships. And professional duties, of course we have professional duties, and of course we have to earn some money to maintain, to continue to live in this world. So of course it also should not be neglected, especially if one is householder. But at the same time, if one is over endeavoring or over consuming, then it can hamper his spiritual life, which is not so good. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Prabhuji, there is only one question that I think we should take. That is, there is a devotee by the name Seema Kirkita. She says her health is not so well. So
Okay.
how can she, observe the Janmastami fast?
Well, yeah, and the same question, similar question was also here in the chat. Well,
Yeah.
then that's okay. The main point is not to take non-Ekadashi prasadam. Non-Ekadashi prasadam we're not going to take on Supreme Lord appearance days like Gaura Purnima or Janmashtami. We don't take non-Ekadashi prasadam. So basically, of course, it depends on your condition, or it depends on what your mind experiences when you are trying to take this austerity. So if it is big anxiety for you, disturbance for you, or if it is disturbance for your gross body, then you can take water. If it is not sufficient, you can take fruits, or you can take some nuts and so on. But the main point is, at least we don't take non-Ekadashi prasadam. The less we eat and the more we practice Krishna Katha, the better. It is the principle. We reduce our bodily needs in order to be fixed in Krishna Katha. It is the principle. If body is diseased, if it needs some special treatment or diet or whatever, then of course we follow, because this much less gift this human body is given to us to serve Krishna, and we have to take care of this body also.
Yes, Prabhuji, I think there are no questions, and we have done with the questions of all the devotees. Now, Prabhuji, I just want to ask you that Vaibhav Prabhuji has asked me to recite the Brahma Samhita verse. So I want to ask that, shall I begin reciting the
Yes,
verse?
yes, of course. Yes, of
And
course.
Prabhuji, the important thing that I wish to ask is that should I do the recitation in one go, or should I take a pause and I should translate the first sloka and then I should go again?
Well,
What do you think I should?
what you can do, you can, for example, you can read the whole Sanskrit, and then by the end you can read the whole translation.
Okay, Prabhuji, I'll do that. So
Okay.
just allow me a minute. I'll just start reciting.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, so what should I do now? Ah,
Prabhuji,
uh-huh.
if you have something, you can be there just speaking.
Ah,
I request the other devotees to be yours.
again, I don't understand you.
Prabhuji, if time persists with you, you can stay in the meeting, or if you have some other sevas to offer, then you can leave the meeting. It's up to you.
Okay. Thank you very much, devotees, for your kind attention. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Happy Janmashtami.
Done it, sir.
Happy
Happy
Janmashtami.
Janmashtami to you too, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.